Article 358.30b in the National Electrical Code, specifically the 2020 edition, addresses the requirements for installing conduit bodies or junction boxes within a raceway system. This article provides specific instances where these components are necessary to ensure the proper functioning and safety of the electrical system. It's important to understand each of these requirements to ensure compliance with the NEC. 358.30b states conduit bodies or junction boxes. In addition to the requirements of 358.26a and b, a conduit body or junction box shall be installed as part of the raceway system as follows. The first scenario where a conduit body or junction box is required is where a change is made in the direction of the raceway run, whether the change in direction is in the horizontal or vertical plane. This means that any bend or turn in the conduit run, whether it's to go around an obstacle, follow a wall, or change elevation, necessitates the installation of a conduit body or junction box. This requirement is in place to facilitate the pulling of conductors through the raceway, as sharp bends can create excessive friction and make it difficult to install the wiring. The second situation that requires a conduit body or junction box is where the size of the raceway is reduced. When transitioning from a larger conduit size to a smaller one, a conduit body or junction box is needed to provide a suitable transition point. This ensures that the conductors are not subjected to undue stress or damage as they pass from the larger to the smaller raceway. It also allows for proper support and protection of the conductors at the transition point. The third requirement under 358.30b is where the raceway is extended. When adding to an existing conduit run, a conduit body or junction box is needed to connect the new section of raceway to the existing one. This provides a secure and mechanically sound connection between the two sections and allows for the easy pulling of conductors through the extension. The fourth condition that necessitates a conduit body or junction box is where two or more raceways are joined together. This typically occurs when multiple conduits are run from different locations and need to be combined into a single raceway. A conduit body or junction box provides a convenient and organized way to connect these raceways, ensuring that the conductors are properly routed and protected. The fifth instance that calls for a conduit body or junction box is where raceways enter an enclosure or junction box. When a conduit run terminates at an electrical enclosure or junction box, a conduit body or connector is needed to provide a secure and grounded connection. This ensures that the conductors are properly supported and protected as they enter the enclosure. It also helps to maintain the integrity of the grounding system. The sixth requirement under 358.30b is where raceways connect to grounding bars. In some electrical installations, raceways are used to provide a grounding path for equipment or systems. When a conduit run is used for this purpose, it must be connected to a grounding bar using a suitable fitting or connector. A conduit body or junction box can be used to facilitate this connection, providing a convenient and accessible point for attaching the grounding conductor. The seventh and final requirement listed in 358.30b references 358.30a for access to the interior of the raceway. 358.30 is related to the maximum number of bends that can be installed in a conduit run. If the number of bends exceeds the allowable limit, a conduit body or junction box must be installed to provide access for pulling conductors. This ensures that the conductors can be installed without excessive force or stress. There is an exception to the requirements outlined in 358.30b. The exception states a conduit body is not required for a change in direction of less than 360 degrees in concealed work if an approved raceway fitting containing conductors is employed. This exception applies specifically to concealed work, meaning conduit runs that are hidden behind walls, ceilings, or floors. In these situations, a conduit body is not required if the change in direction is less than 360 degrees and an approved raceway fitting containing conductors is used. This exception is intended to provide some flexibility in concealed installations where space may be limited. However, it's important to note that the fitting must be specifically approved for this purpose. It is very important to remember that Article 358.30b is not an allowance for conduit bodies or junction boxes every 100 feet. Article 358.30b is specifically where a conduit body or junction box shall be installed as part of the raceway system as follows. It is related to turns, changes in size, extensions and other means to have the conduit body installed. It does not say every 100 feet at all. Therefore, you would need to consult the local, city or state laws and regulations to determine if that is an actual enforced rule of thumb that may be in place for ease of access to conduit for fishing and lubrication. This may also be a rule that your employer has adopted, but not a requirement of the NEC to have a conduit body installed every 100 feet. Always consult the most current NEC code book for changes and to be up to date on the current rules and regulations.